Hi, my name is Sahil Tolia, and I'm one of the class advocates for the class of 2027. At the time of this recording, I'm a rising M2, and I'm one of the admins for the U of M Med Students Slack workspace. Thanks for listening in. The Med Students Slack will be a centralized communication space for all UMMS students, especially for sharing student org events and announcements, student council announcements, and spam listings such as football tickets, parking passes, moving sales, etc. Over time, our hope is it'll take over a lot of the things that we've traditionally used email and GroupMe for. A quick reminder, this will be a student-to-student communication platform only, so no admin or faculty will be seeing any messages. If faculty do wish to contact us, they will do so by email. I want to recognize that Slack can be really challenging to use. My primary goals for this presentation, or my learning objectives, if you will, are to help you get set up with Slack, provide a strong foundation for how to use it, and share how it can be a beneficial tool for all class communication. So hopefully this tutorial will be helpful if you're just starting out with Slack for the first time, or if you used Slack before and want to use it more efficiently. During this video, I'll share some ways you can get your questions about Slack answered, but you can always reach out to me if you would like. All right, so let's get started. So to join, you've likely already received an invite link via email or GroupMe. Make sure to sign in with your @umich.edu email address, as sometimes there's issues if you log in with the @med.umich.edu address. So the Med Student Workspace is part of a larger University of Michigan workspace, and that's something to be mindful of if you're part of other workspaces, such as a research lab group within the U of M workspace, as you may need to toggle back and forth between them. And this is equivalent to a paid Slack subscription. So messages will not disappear after 3 months like they would for a free Slack subscription. And I'm using Slack here on a Mac desktop app, but it's set up exactly the same on your phone or a web browser like Google Chrome. So let's go through the overall layout. So here on the very left, I have the other workspaces that I'm a part of. So if I wish to switch over to the smoker workspace, I can click over here. Moving towards the right, I have channels listed here. Just a quick note, your channels may look a little bit different just to start off, but I believe all of you should be added to the Welcome to UMMS Slack channel, as well as the Stuco announcements channel. There's also direct messages, and then the apps here at the bottom. And we'll go through each of these sections in detail since this is where most of the action happens. And then lastly, over at the top here, we have our search bar if you'd like to search for a specific phrase or person. So before we go to the channels, let's get our profile set up. So the way we can do that is to click on the picture on the bottom left corner, and then you'll click profile. And that's me. So you can add, I would definitely recommend adding a profile picture. I've also added my pronouns as well as my name pronunciation over here. Scrolling down, I've listed my email and my phone in the contact information section. And then next up is the About Me section. And there's not a whole lot that's super necessary to add here, but I added my name coach pronunciation link as well as my year in the About Me section. There's also some fun ones here like your birthday or your favorite wrench size or your favorite amino acid. So I'll go ahead and write tryptophan here as a shout out to block 1. All right, so it's been added. So that's really everything you need to know within the profile section. There's also another really important tab here called Preferences. So if you click on your picture again and note Preferences, we'll revisit this later on once we've seen the channels. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the channels since this is by far the most important part of Slack you'll have to navigate. Just a little bit of background. So channels are where the main communication occurs, and it's subdivided based off of topic. So this is different from GroupMe, for example, where all the messages are just within one chat. So in Slack, there are a few different types of channels. There are public channels, which are denoted by this pound sign, that are open to anyone to join. And there's also private channels, which are denoted by a lock sign here, that require you to be added or invited to join. There's also default channels, which you are automatically added to once you join the workspace, and other channels which you can join on your own if you'd like. So let's go through each of the channels. We'll start off with the Welcome to UMMS Slack channel. So I'll just close out the profile section here. So in this channel, you'll receive a welcome message from the welcome bot, and it'll direct you to open a DM. So this is if you're joining for the very first time. So it directs you to this DM. So I'll open that. And the first thing it does is it links to this video. So you can come back and watch parts of it later on if you'd like. I'll press continue. And then the next thing it'll do is it'll ask you to refer to the community guidelines and the official UMMS bulletin on online communication. So after you review and agree to the community guidelines, it'll automatically add you to a bunch of channels. So I'll click, yes, I agree. Then it'll take a second here, but now it's automatically added me to a bunch of different channels, which are listed on the left side over here. So we'll go through each of those channels one by one in just a second. And then lastly, the message lists each of the class chats. So there's one for each class, MSTPs, as well as LOA students. And these will function similarly to the class group me's. It's very important to add yourself to your class's chat because this will not be done automatically. So go ahead and do that right now if you haven't already. And since I'm part of the class of 2027, I'll click on the channel and then I'll press join channel. So now I've been automatically joined to my class. All right, so to proceed through the rest of the welcome bot message, I'll go back to the welcome bot app at the bottom. And then now that I've joined all the channels that I would like to at this stage, I'll press continue. And then it has a few other reminders here, which I'll also go through about joining channels, leaving channels, creating your own new channels, as well as modifying your notifications. So click continue one more time to finish the tutorial. And now you're free to check out some of the other channels. So we'll go through each of the channels in a little bit more detail. So we'll start off with Stuco announcements, which you are automatically added to at the beginning. So this is where you'll receive messages from student council leadership. Next up is events. So this is a place where students can announce and remind others about events held within or connected to the med school. And a really cool feature within Slack is the reminder feature, which you can definitely use for events that are sent in this channel. So the way to set up a reminder is to go to the message. So just a little while ago, I sent out a sample event on Thursday, July 25th with lots of free food. So if you'd like to go to that event and you want to set a reminder for yourself, you'll roll over the message and then click the three dots with more actions. And then you'll go to remind me about this. So it can send you a reminder in 20 minutes, 1 hour, 3 hours, tomorrow, or the next week. But what I really like is sending out a custom reminder. So if the event is on Thursday, the 25th, then I can send a reminder to myself at 7 o'clock on the 24th. So now it will send me a reminder in 3 days. Okay, so next up is leadership opportunities, which is pretty similar to events, but this is where student orgs can share info about leadership opportunities. So in the past, applications for M1s to join e-boards have not been sent out until September 1st. And this just allows the M1s to get settled in academically. So we plan to continue that tradition here in Slack. Next up is research opportunities, and this is where you can share or receive info about different research opportunities on campus. All right, and then next up is our infamous spam folder. So here you would post if you're selling or in search of moving sales, football tickets, parking passes, clinical books, clothes, pet sitters, etc. These are just some of the most commonly used ones that were in the past sent out via email. So now we have this Slack channel for it. Next up is answer my survey. So in the past, medical students have reached out to the entire school for asking people to fill out their surveys for research. So here you can post if you have a survey that you need med students to answer. And then lastly is the advocacy channel for sharing advocacy-related topics or opportunities for other students to get involved in. There's also other channels that you can join. So the way you can do that is to click Add Channels here within the channel section. And then you'll go to Browse Channels. And then make sure you select the Medical Students workspace here at the top. And now this is a full list of all the channels that you can be a part of. So for example, if I later on join the class of 2028, then I can click their channel and I can join the class of 2028. Just a quick note on the class chats. So the class chats will be public until around September 1st of this year, and then it will transition to private, so only members of the class can take part in that conversation. Another channel that I want to briefly talk about is the Slack tech support channel. So again, I'll go to Add Channels, Browse New Channels, and then go to Slack tech support. So I'll also join this one. So this channel will be manned by the Slack admin, and you can join this channel to ask us any questions about Slack and how to use it. All right, and then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about creating your own channels. So to do this, you'll go to Add Channels again, and then create a new channel. And then it prompts you into entering a name for your channel. So you'll be able to create a new private channel that is only visible to the people that you invite as you see fit. So an example of a private channel, that's something that could be used for a private channel, is a group project or a doctoring group. If you have an idea for an informal interest group or a hobby, such as a running club or a pickleball group, for example, these are often best suited for a public channel or one that can be joined by any student at UMMS. So in this case, if you'd like to create a new public channel, we ask that you join the channel request channel. So I'll find that here at the top. So I'll join that. And then within this channel, we ask you to request a new channel, and one of the admins can help you out with that. So this step is just to ensure that there's no duplicate channels that get created. And there's a number of us admin members, so we'll make sure to get any channel requests done quickly, and we'll make sure to notify others so that they can join as well. All right, we're almost through with channels, but I wanted to go through a few more things about managing channels. So the way you'll do that is by clicking the word channels here at the top and towards the left side of the screen. And then you'll go to show and sort. So this will rearrange the order of the channels that are presented on your screen. So for right now, I have it set to the default as just alphabetical, but you could also change it to priority or by the channel where the most recent message was sent will shift up towards the top. Another thing that could be really nice is starring a channel. So if there's a specific channel that you visit more often, you can star it, and that will bring it up to the top and separate it from the rest of the channels. So the way to do that is by right-clicking the channel. If you're doing this on the phone, you would press and hold the channel name, and then you can star a channel. So I've selected the class of 2027 chat, and then now it's starred here at the top. So now it's a lot easier for me to access. Another thing you can do is mute a channel. So many of you may choose to mute the spam channel and just check it periodically. So if you'd like to mute that channel, again, you'll right-click the channel and then click mute channel. So now it'll be moved to the bottom, and you won't be notified for every single new message. Next up is leaving a channel. So if there's a channel that you joined and would like to leave it later on, so I'm not part of the class of 2028, so I will again, right-click the channel and then move down to the Leave Channel button, which is emphasized in red here. So you click Leave Channel, and now you're out of that channel. All right. So I know that was a lot. So let's move on from channels and then go on to direct messages. So DMs are pretty self-explanatory. So to send a direct message, you can go down to the DM section here, press the plus button, and then now you can send a new message to a specific person or a channel. So as an example, I will type my good friend Mary Elmore's name and send her a quick message. So that's how DMs work, and then all of your DMs will then show up here on the left side. You can also DM yourself, which is pretty interesting. And in the past, I've used this as a sort of to-do list. All right, so sending a message in a channel. So this is also pretty self-explanatory, but there's a few tips and tricks which might be helpful. So if you'd like to edit a message that you've already sent, you can click the three dots for more actions after rolling over it, and then you can click Edit Message. So then you can change the message however you'd like, and then you just click Save again, and then it'll indicate that it's been edited, but it will be sent back out to the channel. All right, you can also reply to a message in a thread, and then it will pop up as a reply that you can click on and view as a thread here. And you can close out of threads as well. You can also forward this message to another channel or to another person by rolling over the message and clicking forward channel and then or forward message, and then you can send it as a DM or to another channel. Dragging and dropping files into Slack also works really well. And unlike with GroupMe, any sort of pictures that get added, the resolution doesn't get altered, which is great. Another thing you can do is send a message with the @channel feature. So if I type @channel and then type out my message, it will make sure to send a notification to everyone in the channel. So please try to use this feature sparingly to avoid any sort of notification overload. But just know that it's definitely an option that you can use. All right, so we'll move on from direct messages and sending out messages, and we'll now move on to apps. So I don't use apps a ton in Slack, but there's a few options that sync nicely with the things that you may already be using. So to add apps, you'll go to Add Apps here at the bottom, and then you can scroll through the pre-approved apps for medical students. So there's a full app directory as well, right at the top under app directory. And there's a ton of other apps and bots that you can scroll through on your own time to see if it might be useful for you. Those will often require some sort of automated approval, but from what I understand, those are usually done within minutes, so it's never been an issue. Just know that at this time, some apps like Outlook for Slack may not be permitted due to security concerns about patient data. So anyways, the apps that I have downloaded here, if I go back to the main page, are the Arranger bot, which helps you set up meetings and send out fancy invites. The Google Calendar app, which you can sync up with your school account and add calendar info directly to. And there's also the Zoom app, which gives you instructions here on how to set up meetings directly. And I've tried it out a couple times and it works really, really well. So in short, apps are cool to use if you're comfortable, but it's definitely a personal preference. So speaking of preferences, let's go back and go through your preferences. So again, to go to preferences, you'll click on your profile picture in the bottom left corner, and then go to preferences. And this is where notifications are addressed. So I know notifications are super important, and they can also be a little bit confusing here. So I want to make sure to spend a little extra time on this. So right at the top here, it says notify me about, and you can be notified about all new messages, just direct messages, mentions, and keywords, as well as nothing. So this is for the entire workspace. So personally, as your friend, I would recommend selecting the direct messages, mentions, and keywords option here, because then you'll know immediately if someone is trying to reach you, but you won't get lost in every single message that's sent in the workspace. I also strongly recommend setting channel-specific notification rules, as we'll get to in just a second. But just scrolling down here within the notification section, there's also keywords. So if you type in a keyword here, you'll be notified whenever that specific word or phrase is used. Notification schedule is really nice because you'll only get notifications within a certain time range. So if something is sent to you outside of these hours, such as maybe in this case after 10 p.m., then it'll effectively function as a do not disturb, and you'll get it later on. So ultimately, the hours that you set here are a personal preference depending on how comfortable you are with getting notified at odd hours of the day. But then lastly, which I know is really important, is channel-specific notifications, which basically allows you to customize your notifications based on the channel. So I have them all listed out here, but I can go through them in a little bit more detail. So for example, if I want to make sure that I receive all new messages about messages sent in the events channel, then I'll again right-click events and then go to change notifications. So right now I will get a notification for all new messages sent out in that channel. But if I want to change it to just mentions, then I'll only get notifications for messages sent within that channel if someone directly tags me or if someone uses the channel feature. But for now, I will change it back to all new messages. Then, for example, for spam, I will, again, look and go to my change notifications, and it says, you've muted this channel, so I can unmute the channel if I would like. So now the spam channel is unmuted. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about customizing your channel-specific notifications. All right, some other things that I think are important within preferences are the themes. So I believe the Slack default theme is this aubergine color, but I prefer something lighter like jade. So that's really the only thing that I've changed here. I haven't really messed with any of the other settings here, but you can always experiment if there's a certain organization or formatting style that works best for you. All right, so that is all. So that wraps up our comprehensive review of the Michigan Med School Slack workspace. I'm really excited for this to be our new method of communication for the entire school. I think it'll be a great way to sustain the wonderful community we have here at the med school. If you have any questions or clarifications, feel free to send me an email or a text. I'll pull up my profile here. So you can also send me a DM on Slack if you wish, and I'm more than happy to help out. But anyways, I hope this was helpful for getting started with Slack and feeling confident about using it. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.